Hi guys. Now we've
Hi.
got a little gathering happening today, and I'm going to get everybody to introduce themselves in a minute. But I'm Kim. Hi, and off you go.
Ginger, Rebecca, Denise, Amanda.
Charlotte.
Hi guys. All right.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hey,
Hi.
everybody.
So
Hi,
it's a
Kim.
bit of a trial this because we're going to go a campfire happening, and Charlotte and I feel like we've joined around the campfire because we've got like full screen happening here, and it's kind of funky and just something different. And we're just going to have a discussion about lots of things. So, um, who wants to start? Really
Well,
organized.
we were talking a little bit about how important it is for us to do this, to gather in circle like this and to use whatever tools. It's great that we can all be here. We've all got such powerful voices and opportunities, and yet there's still so many restrictions for us to work through, like especially with our employers. So I think it's important for us to really be open and have an opportunity to share so that other people can hear too what it is that you're experiencing, and maybe through that we can help to solve some problems and find some solutions. I think that talking it out really helps, and to
Yeah.
be in circle like this is really powerful. These are some of the wisest women that I know, and I'm grateful to be in the circle and curious to hear what unfolds, because again, using our powerful voice to tell a story of what if what where are we and what can we do with our massive abilities.
Mm, okay. So, where we're going to start is I'm going to start with is the soul in the body? Where is the soul located? One of the things I came across the other day was a video, and in this video, it was suggesting the idea that the DNA was the soul. And I've never ever heard that suggested before. And I thought, wow, that's a really different way of looking at it. Maybe the DNA is the soul, because the DNA, in a way, is like a snake, and the
Well, and
snake.
when looking at the letters, I see A and D. So it kind of denotes a continuation and the forever and ever in it. It just goes on, as we replicate ourselves, as nature replicates itself.
So
Hey,
is the DNA the soul?
Is it? That's a good
I
question. I'm
think the
curious to hear from
DNA
others. Yeah.
is, I think the DNA is the scribe. If it's anything, it's the scribe. And in a way, it sort of definitely looks like the soul because it is literally scribing the life of the soul. Like it's, right, do you know what I mean? Like it's writing it down.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That's my
yeah.
perspective.
So it's the recorded experience of the soul.
The crystallization of the experience of this body, right? Just like the crystal,
That's
right?
right.
There's like information in this rock. This rock had a life experience and you can tap in
Mhm.
intuitively and
Mhm.
check in. But what if the DNA is like that in us if we were the
Well, I have
crystal?
read that the Akashic records are recorded in like the Miriam crystal. So,
That makes sense.
mhm.
It's all crystalline. We are crystal energy. We are electromagnetic beings of light, but we are also, I think, liquid crystal.
But the DNA can be altered by man, and the soul can't be altered by man.
Ah, but if the
Ah,
DNA was
that's
the record of the soul, then the soul can be altered by man.
ah,
I love
Because
that.
because I mean, for instance, with all of this it's we've been experiencing recently, one of the components of the thing, I'm not going to mention what it is, but one of the components of that is the capacity to alter the DNA. They openly talk about that, to rewrite portions of the DNA. Um, I don't know what are you following me with my limited
Yes.
description of what I'm talking about there?
mm. Does that make sense to
I
you?
totally know what she's talking about.
Okay. I've also seen videos where it's 11:11 here, by the way.
9/11 here then.
So I've also seen videos where they say that they have the capacity to rewrite the DNA and shut components of it down. So are
Yeah.
they shutting components of our cell down in doing that?
Is it a
I've heard,
recording of the physical manifestation of our current soul state?
I don't know. Just a question.
was it already written?
So
Was it already written? I think nothing new under the sun, personally. I think it's all been done before. I think we get to come back and play again.
The,
And we're fractal energy.
the one thing I'll say is that, and I get this wrong all the time, is we see it as an external event. We see it as somebody doing it unto us.
Yeah,
It's not, it's all happening inside of us.
I agree.
So there isn't anybody else to blame other than ourselves.
But
So
there's a lot that we can do to soothe that. And a lot of us, I think, feel quite restricted in our ability to do these things. Like we have amongst us some really brilliant healers. And I think that they want nothing more than to be able to offer top high value services. But there are so many restrictions and so many things that they must do and can't do. And I think it's time for something more creative. That's not working for us. So, how do we create something a little more appealing to, people who are curious? I think these kinds of conversations, for example, it's a start. People will stumble upon it, others who might be curious and seeking information
well, that's
about what else might be out there because so much of what we had is no longer available here. Those places are closing quickly because of the burnout rate.
so let's project forward in relation to, like, go forward and say, right, well, one of the problems that we've got is that the healthcare system is overwhelmed.
Oh,
That's one of
yes.
the problems we've got. Secondly, we've got a problem with the current healthcare system where people are respecting it less than they used to in the past. Like one of the
Correct.
one of the things that's come back to me over and over is people saying that they went to the doctor and they argued with the doctor about what happened or what the doctor recommended. That wasn't happening 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And that
No,
people are looking deeper into what their options are. So if you project all of those components into the future, what you actually come up with is everything is about self responsibility.
that's right. Yeah.
And every single component of that self responsibility is about us being able to extract the information that we need in order to circumnavigate the breaking down of the system.
that sounds great. That's exactly, and here we are now with an opportunity to cast another, what is the vision? What's the ultimate solution here? I sort of see it. I think,
the children.
yeah.
I
And
think we need to teach
Yeah.
the children
oh,
and
yes.
listen to the elderly.
Yes, listen to the elders and give them a voice. Our most vulnerable, right? Like they've been silenced.
Yeah.
And
Especially with COVID-19, not even their families allowed to visit.
it taught us a lot.
We isolated our elderly and we isolated our children, and now it's time to set them free.
I agree. And it's also it's the child within us that's begging to be let loose. So it's touching each and every one of us, regardless of what our lifestyle is. It's this shift in consciousness is affecting our inner child. So I'll go back to your question for a minute, Kim, about Gemini, or sorry, about the inner child. I think it is the Gemini. I think it is literally, look at the word gem in I, and it is the mirror reflection of us. It's the part of us that whispers. and it's the soul within, and it's the twin. They call it the twin. It just feels about right to me. So the Gemini is everything that there's two of.
I want twins.
Everything that there's two of is the
Twins.
Gemini, and I want twins. Well,
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
do.
have your hands full.
I want twins. I want two, a boy and a girl.
Yeah, so I think it's just very yeah, my thought about the inner child and the soul.
It's life is all about the child you raise and the new world
Well, life is about the
that you
child that
create.
was within each of us, I think, and nourishing that. I think people are in a very common. One thing that I find is pretty common for a lot of people right now is that we are reclusive, and the people around us might be needing a little more space to offer themselves self-care and nourishment like never before. This has become a very critical part of our routine. And I think that that's relevant. So, keeping up with creating space like that. I want to let somebody else go. I'll go forever.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
We need a lot of energy for what's in store.
And
High energy.
it's us creating. So one thought about healthcare I had, I'll share if it's all right. What if we create sort of a model where healers can, so you can approach and see if funding can be made available to you. And we would collect dollars from people who are able to give dollars to something that would support paying for these alternative healthcare services that are currently not paid for by insurance companies. Like, how do we get around that? How do we offer the type of healing that we know we can get from nature itself? How do we get paid for offering that kind of service? What is the currency for, like, as far as I can tell, there's no money in healing, but this world needs a desperate amount of support I see it as a crisis moment. Yeah. It's a real tower moment in our schemes and systems. The things that people are quite used to have all changed. Nothing is how it used to be. We have to grow with that.
But you see, that's what we're doing, right? The medical system is collapsing. We're all watching it. We've been watching it in slow motion for years, especially since COVID, right?
Burnt out.
Right? Because it's a wrong system. It's a system that keeps us in a state of illness rather than healing.
Correct.
Right? They went about it the wrong way in reverse, like they always do. They're about post-illness care rather than preventative care, right? Rather than teaching you about eating properly. Anyway, the whole system is collapsing because they teach us the opposite of what we should be doing, right?
I agree.
So we need to have more today, we need to have more healers coming online.
Unrestricted.
Right? Yes,
unrestricted.
Absolutely.
And highly compensated.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to see that personally, but I have a feeling that we may need to think outside the box a bit when it comes to where the healing can actually occur right now. Just because of where exactly we're at in our economic state and our social state and like all the crap that goes around that. I feel like the ones that are going to carry us through this bit are the healers that are financial healers. The people who are healers that are working as accountants, the people who are working in the weed shops, yes, and selling and getting that medicine out to people, putting their energy into that important sacred medicine for that customer, really identifying, vibing with a part of, connecting with them on that level as they're giving them that herbal medicine, and getting that activated, because right now some people just need a little whoosh to get going. Yes. A little momentary brief, not too much, because too much is a little painful, just a bit, and then a bit more and a bit more. So then I think maybe our healers are going to come back on, and we're going to see these healers coming back online and really being extremely popular, I hope.
Okay,
like even more so than now.
Can I say something which is kind of tapped into something I think it was Denise that was talking before, but she was talking about that the entire medical industry is given focus to illness. The entire I mean, I'm a really big believer in where your focus goes grows. Whatever you're focusing on amplifies, right? Now, I had a friend of mine that met Sister Teresa at one point, this guy, and he said to her, "What's the worst problem in the world to your knowledge?" And she said, and he was expecting it to say like the homeless in India or the, like a standard starving in Africa or something. And she said, the desperation of the Western world. And I think that the desperation of the Western world comes from the distortion of we're so heavily programmed that our focus is going in all of the wrong direction, like we're focusing on illness rather than focusing on wellness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we were to turn this around, because we are living in a world or in a reality where our focus grows, what we focus on amplifies. So rather than if we had I don't know, thinking about setting something up, that we focused on the wellness aspect of it rather than the illness. Maybe we need to learn to change that focus.
100%. Yes, I agree. Yeah.
I don't know how we do it. What do you say, Charlotte, about that?
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, actually.
Oh yeah.
Because I like visually, I see it as actually. Let's use my image behind me. This is
Green
Karen the Hunter, by the way.
Oh, okay.
But you'll see like there's two colors on this tapestry. And think of all those different colors, think of them as stones. So there's black stones and there's green stones. So my visual has been that like you can, when you focus on the illness, you're focusing on the bad, right? You're focusing on what you don't want, right? So it's the opposite direction of where you want to go. But if you're focusing on that, you're going to be stepping on, let's say these green stones, let's say they represent the bad ones. You're going to you're going to see all the green stones if that's what you're focused on. But all the black stones are just going to be like as if they're not even there because but if you flip that and say, what is it that I want? You start to see those black stones. And what will happen is that you see more black stones and more black stones. And so by literally looking for what you want, you recognize your opportunities better and therefore start to manifest more of what you want. Just by looking at the different colored stones, if you want to look at it that way.
Okay, so I've got a question for all of you, and I'm going to ask you all this question. So I'm going to start with you, Charlotte, and say, how do you know what you want?
Well, that is an awesome question. Thank you for that. That's like probably the best follow-up question I could have thought of. Wow. Because personal agenda is something else that I've been thinking a lot about, because personal agenda can really interrupt what it is that is good for us and what we actually want. Right? So I guess my answer to that is the truth lives in the heart of hearts. And I don't have a whole lot else to say except that to me that is the most pure answer I can give to that, is that you look for the truth in the heart of hearts, which means you look into the deepest part of your bones, into the deepest part of your chest, into your sternum, right in there, into that bone marrow, right into that middle of your heart. And that's where you look for what it is that's best for you or what it is you truly want.
So do you feel your way to it?
Pardon me?
Do you feel your way to it?
Feel.
Do you feel
I don't
it?
think. Thinking gets us in
feel.
trouble.
Right.
You have to feel, you have to clear your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
So the next person I'm going to ask that question to is Amanda. How do you know what you want?
Because I almost died and I just decide what I want off of what I feel.
Okay, so when you almost died, did you get a new ability?
Yeah.
Can you describe that ability for me?
Well, I saw the light and now I can call it. And well, I always could call it, but now I know exactly where I'm going in life. I just know.
That's cool. Okay. All right. Denise, how do you know what you want?
How do I know what I want? It's what really resonates with my heart and soul,
All right.
right? What really makes me feel alive, happy, what makes me feel grounded, connected to this world, right? That's, and like you said, alluded to earlier, what, do you feel your way there? Yes, very much so, right? Clairsentience, I guess you'd call that, right? But that would be my answer to that question. Just I follow my heart and my soul and that pull, that gravitational pull, right?
And can you tell me genuinely, are you generally successful in pursuing what you want by doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good.
And I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm still getting there, right? I'm
Well, we,
still working towards, but I'm where I want to be right now. So I'm
mhm,
just on the next level, keep going up levels, and I'm just on the next stage of the game. And I
mhm,
have another stage and another stage and another stage after that, and I'm feeling my way through all of it, right?
mm,
Trying to be led as naturally and as intuitively and as connected as I can possibly be. Right?
okay. So have you had any recent experiences being dragged into the maelstrom at all?
Oh God, that you just summed up my whole life. Um, so so I also had a near-death experience.
Right,
I was diagnosed with in 2005. I was diagnosed with MS.
right.
I was bedridden for about almost 6 years, and then I actually died. And yeah, when you asked Amanda about whether she had abilities afterwards, boy, man, everything changed after. Everything, not overnight, but slowly over time,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
started to heal. To this day, there's no evidence of MS in my body. They can't find anything on the MRIs.
Wow.
There's no symptoms left in my body whatsoever, right? I've never felt healthier. Even, and people have a hard time believing this, but I didn't even feel this good when I was 10 years old, right?
Okay.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. So everything changed. I had a lot of this spiritual abilities start to come online. So everything was closed off to me before. But afterwards, several different abilities. I started noticing. I'm reading people's energies. I'm seeing some dark things in people I never saw before, but was always there. Right, the red flags were always there, but they were becoming much more obvious to me to the point where I could see, even in people I didn't know previously, I could see this a mile away. Right. So slowly over time, I was healing. My body was healing, my mind was healing, and boy, my heart was healing. Right.
right.
So everything changed for me. I consider my life divided from where I used to be, which was in the dark, and now I'm fully in the light, and there's so much more waiting for me. I'm really excited to see where I go next. So yes, I am led by my heart in all ways because I learned how not to do things, how to do things the wrong way. Following money, chasing the career, chasing all that worldly stuff out there. None of it ever worked for me. It just
No.
made me more and more depressed until I got sick. It overwhelmed my body. And then because of the medications, I ended up dying. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And that everything changed. So luckily for me, fortunately, maybe not, maybe, it was planned. But I was given another chance, clean slate, right? Whole
Okay,
new life, a whole new world I'm living in now. So yes.
good. Okay. So Denise, I just spoke to Rebecca. What about you? How do you go after what you want? How do you know what you want?
I think like everybody here, I feel it. I know when I've ignored it too. I get very loud things happening to me when I ignore that feeling that I'm going against what is my highest self, I guess. I try not to use the word want anymore because that to me means I'm lacking and I don't feel I'm lacking in anything.
Right.
I've I've been through a lot in my lifetime.
Right.
I believe, well, I know I almost died when I was 5. I don't really remember my experience because I was so young. Um, and then I lost a son when I was 22. So I'm an angel mom.
Wow.
And I recently was emotionally, physically burnt out from my job. I lost half my hair and I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating. So I went on a leave for 3 months and then I went back and I quit that job. And I'm currently not in a nursing role at all because I just can't do it
Yeah.
in the capacity they want me to. So,
Wow.
and I've never been happier in my life.
Okay. Are you still interested in healing, but in different ways?
Yes, and I am a healer. I've healed a tumor off of my dog.
Wow. Have you ever thought about
And
going? Because I've seen some great dog healers operate. Really cool dog healers
well,
operate.
I've witnessed it firsthand. She walked
Yeah.
into my house, my very reluctant puppy. He's quite shy and he usually will stand far back from new visitors. And but he went straight to her, cried when she left him because he had suffered an injury. And
Um,
but he intuited immediately as soon as she walked in, she took a seat on the floor and yeah, and so she worked a lot of really good stuff for my dog that day. And he has not forgotten that. I know when things are happening. The look on his face, the relief that he got from that moment that he spent. She does have a gift, and I think we all do.
are you
And
are you
yeah,
psychic, Rebecca?
Yes.
yes.
I knew
Okay.
you were going to hesitate. That's why I answered for you.
Yes.
Uh, so
Sorry.
have you ever thought about combining the psychic uh and the gift of healing? Um like a friend of mine often
Well, I think
calls,
sometimes I do it like unintentionally.
yeah,
And, like I can tell people what's wrong with them, but just by looking at them, and then they're like, "What? How did you know that?"
Yeah.
yeah,
So
What a gift. I love it.
yeah.
Yes.
So I'm building that skill. Yes.
So
okay.
you're a medical intuitive
What was
as
that?
well
Sorry.
as you're a medical intuitive as well
Yeah.
as a
Yeah, an animal.
telepath.
Mhm.
and she's really speaking the language that I speak with the zodiac and how important it is for each sign to receive what mineral and so it's been really cool. We've been spending some time trying to make the perfect cup of tea.
Yeah, I was a florist before I was a nurse, so
Wow.
quite the
Wow.
plant
That's a
knowledge
great
as
thing.
well.
Yeah,
You're
That's a great
hilarious.
thing.
powerful circle. Very powerful circle. Kim, I'm curious to hear from you. How do you
Yeah.
know what you want?
I don't. I'm really bad at it. That's the reason I'm asking you
I
questions all
don't
the
either.
time.
I start my day asking the creator, what do you want me to do? How should I best serve you today?
Yeah, and the Grateful Journal really helps for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
yeah. Go on.
and saying that I am enough works really well. It's just something small that I started.
I'm
As a
really,
middle
really
help.
aware.
Oh, Diana. Look at me.
I'm
Yeah,
really aware if we don't
thanks. Yeah,
clarify.
let me see that one. Wait, hang on.
You
Rainbow
okay?
one. That's it. Sorry, I
I'm re
had everybody's lighter.
everybody. Lighter holder.
They were all in my pockets.
I knew you said Amanda since we came over here.
Attract abundance. I've got the fire.
Listen to you. All right, so talking about knowing what you want. So, if you don't know what you want, then the universe will give you what it thinks you want or it thinks you need. So it's actually quite important for you to kind of get down to that question. And I found this book called The Aladdin Factor. Have you read that? It's a chicken.
No.
So
Like Aladdin, like in the genie? Okay.
there you go. One of the greatest lessons you'll ever learn about how to ask for what you want. I know it's easy to ask for what you want, but you have to know what you want before you can ask for it. Or you have to know what you want before you can feel it. So you have to know where you've got to put your focus. And I don't know, I think it was either Rebecca or Denise that said, I don't like the word want. Who said I don't like the word want?
It was me, yes, Rebecca.
Okay. And I really get that. I think want's a really bad word because it does imply lack. And there is no
Well, and I
lack.
think you're right. I think if you want something, then you'll always want it. And that's why we talk a lot about moving in the direction of already having it. So giving thanks for what you already have. If it's meant for me, it'll be mine. And it's just a slightly different conversation. It's not really asking, it's knowing that what's right for me will come along.
All right. But the problem, I think that the problem comes in the belief, or
Yes.
the belief interferes. Like, for instance, I'm just talking about my situation because my situation's easier for me to talk about, not because
Yes.
of any other reason other than I know my own situation. But I live on an island, and there are a lot of limitations to getting off the island in relation to different things, and that comes into my world a lot. That interferes with my world a lot. So, for instance, if the TV breaks down, it's not like I can get in my car, I can drive up the shop and get a new TV. TV is a really bad example because I don't actually watch TV. So, um, fridge, fridge is another example. I can't just get the
Yeah.
fridge delivered. So,
Well, it's amazing though how things just turn up right when you need it, like the pop-up world, Kim.
yeah, I know, but that's where you get. I mean, and I'm talking more about material here, which is not really what I wanted to talk about, because I'm really
Yeah.
talking about the etheric aspect of what we want, like um, the broader picture about how we bring about the capacity for us to use our skills in healing without the limitations being placed on us by the negative aspects in this world that's becoming overwhelming.
Well, so how do we take the chains off? How do we become unrestricted? How do we just walk in, and allow, um, the future to unfold? How do
by,
we do that?
by focusing on the wellness.
On the wellness, focus on what we do want, focus on, everybody finding their own path, becoming their own healers, helping us empower people. I think that's something that's become very important to me in my time here, once finding my little voice and having my experiences in terms of like, how do you find what you want? Well, I didn't stop long enough to even ask what I wanted. I didn't think what I wanted mattered. I was so busy serving all the other masters that I had chosen, you know. And so now I'm very selective about where I put my energy. And, I am very cautious about checking in. What do I want? How do I feel? What's right for me right now? Can I do this? Is it right for me? And asking those questions, staying curious and really listening for the answers that we get from so many different directions, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a catch with that, in
Yeah.
that, like, personal agenda, I'm just going to put a pin in those two words, but we've got our soul purpose, right? We got what our spirit, like our spiritual contract. We're like, okay, we're coming into this world. We got karma to take care of. We got this to learn. We've got this thing that we agreed to do. And we've got this list of stuff that we come in with, or perhaps that's only my worldview. And so I'm going to speak to those who share my worldview only, because that's the
Yes.
only people to speak to right now. But if that is your worldview, let's take that for a second and go, wait a minute. what if okay, so I want this stuff. My spirit, my soul has this on the list for my life. I have this on the list for my life. Wouldn't it be much more effective in getting what we wanted if both of those things were exactly the same? Like if we knew what was on
Yes.
our sacred contract list, and if our spirit really knew actually what was on our human bucket list as well. So what if the two could actually somehow align, or at least somehow recognize one another? And then perhaps there's the potential for alignment. And if that starts to occur, I believe that the closer we get to the alignment between the soul's desires and our personal human desires, I think the more synchronicity takes over. And boom, all of a sudden you read the book The Secret and it actually works.
Yeah,
Because
look
that's
at
already
that.
fixed,
Because
you
you're
know?
kind of you're describing the middle path to me, Charlotte.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Walking,
middle path,
walking the
the
middle path,
sacred in between
being,
the middle path, the brackish water.
yeah, yeah.
What I got out of that was solar system, like SOULARE, solar. So it's almost like the maelstrom directs us. It's like a tornado or something directing us in a particular direction that we don't really have any power over the direction that we're being led in. But then along the way, we get the choice. If we were the whirlwind, to pick up that car or to pick up that lounge suite or to pick up that house or to pick up that tree. Then like, do I want that tree? Do I not want that tree? Will that tree help me with the direction? Will it help me change the direction? Will it not assist me in changing the direction? It's not, and I'm not talking about necessarily the physical components. It could be somebody I meet. Is there any benefit in me meeting this person or even having an interaction with them? Do I feel obliged to spend time with somebody that isn't necessarily nourishing my soul? Why do I
Only
feel,
you can answer that,
yeah,
right?
why,
Like we have to really ask these questions and then listen for the guidance and move
yeah,
accordingly.
yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess you look for the truth in the heart of hearts.
yeah, yeah.
That's right. In the
Back
heart of
to the
hearts, with
center.
everything,
That
with
is
Yeah,
for
every
you. Like
morsel.
this person. And that's maybe, and that I actually would love to touch on. I just got really passionate. I hope I didn't interrupt.
no, you didn't.
No, go for it.
So can we continue? Okay, sorry. I just went, ah.
Go for it.
Um, like for me, I have located where I know my personal truth is in my body, or at least most of the time, or at least where the core of things are. But like, what if it's different in everybody's body? Like, what if we kind of put it somewhere subconsciously or spiritually, and then like, oh, I really feel the truth in my left hip, or whatever, my right ACL, like, you know what I mean? Like, it could
Yeah,
be in kidney one of my
yeah.
foot. You know
And
what I mean? Like,
I get exactly what you mean because you so often come across this concept of like, oh, somebody will say something like, heal the inner child and you heal yourself. And I'm thinking, well, where's the inner child? Where is it? Where is that? Like there's an expectation that you can locate that aspect of yourself. Whereas, like you said, in you, it exists in your heart of hearts. But in the next person, it might be, well, I don't know how to tune into that. I've got one friend
And
that whenever she comes across what she wants, uh, or what's best for her, she drools. And I think that's great. I think that's like her soul has learned a way of communicating with herself that she can recognize in any particular direction or in any particular way. She gets a trigger. And if we could
mhm.
attune ourselves with turning on that trigger, and each one of us might have a different one. Like somebody might start winking repeatedly or something, like somebody might start getting an itchy nose. I mean, how often do you get an itchy nose? Not very often.
right.
But you could um, program a trigger into your own body to get your I guess, higher self to enlighten you that you're reaching that trigger. Does that make sense?
I like that idea.
Mm.
I like that
And
idea,
it's
Kim.
kind of
It's
like,
just a little.
So what would yours be? All right, again, I'm going to go around the whole group. If you were to have a trigger that would tell you to pay attention to something, Charlotte, what would it be?
I feel it on my skin first and then straight to my heart. That's usually where I go, or gut.
Okay, so when you say you feel it in your skin, is it like a tingling sensation all over your skin?
Yeah.
Like a
Like things, it's like
confirmation?
it lights up, but like in a buzzy kind of way.
Okay, all right. So, what about Amanda? How do you feel it? Or how would you want to feel it?
Denise, how do you?
Oh,
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
me?
Go.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, it was
go ahead.
Amanda. It was
Sorry.
Amanda.
Oh, Amanda.
Pardon?
Sorry. Well, they were asking you a question.
Oh, what was your question?
My question was, if you were to program yourself with a trigger where your higher self was to say, pay attention to this, or um, like just an event happening and your higher self wanted you to pay attention, say it gave you an inner signal, it gave you a way of paying attention to something or getting your own confirmation, what would it be? Or what is it?
Probably a baby crying. Like if a baby started crying, I'd pay attention right away. I can't
Really?
ignore a baby.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, like baby, as soon as a baby starts crying, I'm like, how do I make it stop?
Really?
Yeah.
Ah,
I go crazy. Like something in my mind like freaks out. So if God wanted to put a baby in my life, that would give me the or like a well, I work at a daycare, so I listen to babies crying all day long. And so, yeah, like I can't ignore a baby.
What can you do to soothe the child, right?
Yeah.
How can you soothe the child?
Yeah, there's like three things you can try or get creative. Yeah.
okay. And Denise, what would yours be? What would your trigger
What's
be?
your
I
trigger,
heard
Denise?
high frequency.
No, I didn't hear anything.
I thought it was a mosquito buzzing by my ear.
So I rely a lot on my clairsentience, right? So like you said, feeling your way through, right?
Uh-huh.
So when I'm in public or when I'm seeing somebody, even if I'm seeing a picture of somebody or on TV, I can read the energy. So I'm getting information blasted at me, right?
Yeah, it's too
This
much.
is
It's
very
overstimulating.
it can be if you don't protect yourself, it can be very overstimulating. But there are ways to mitigate that, right?
Yeah.
But I rely on this ability because it really lets me know who's around, what's going on. I need to be aware. I need to have my backup or everything's fine. I don't need, everything's good and I can relax, right? So I lean on this ability quite a lot. So it triggers me, especially when I'm out in public. It used to trigger me in a negative way because you know why? It would manifest and present as anxiety attacks and panic attacks. And I didn't understand what it was. But once I started to understand, I was picking up other people's energies,
Yes.
right? That's when it started to make sense. And that's actually when I started to get control of it.
And it feels
right?
like you're being contaminated by
Right.
other people's stuff. Like even if
Right.
you don't speak to them
Yes,
sometimes, you just
absolutely.
get too
Yeah.
close and it's
Right.
it's an exchange of energy.
Right. So
That's
this,
like
I didn't know at the time, but this was like, the way it was described to me as quote unquote my superpower. But until I understood that, it was my kryptonite,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
don't know Superman is all powerful till he gets in front of kryptonite, like
Mm.
Hercules, right?
That's
Mm.
right.
I'm not comparing myself to, superhuman people. I'm just saying this is how it was shown to me.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
But that ability, until we understand that it is our superpower, quote unquote, it will kick our butts because it's trying to get our attention. It's trying to teach us that that it is an ability. Grab hold of it, start using it for the benefit of yourself and everybody else around you. So the clairsentience is very, very big for me. I lean on it a lot. So that is what I use. So I don't know if I could wish for more than that, because I mean, I'm sure I could.
It's
right?
reliable.
Just great big neon signs. This guy's a douchebag. Stay away.
Yeah.
Right? But of course, I'm not going to get that. But the next best thing for me is the feeling, the feeling. I'm getting so much information from people around me. I know when I'm safe. I know when I need to beware. Right?
Like advice. I ask advice a lot. Like I ask for help from my community, like the people I've created. I just ask. I keep asking and I keep asking, and then eventually I find the answer.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to talk it out.
Find,
so
right?
communicating,
So
the gratitude journal, I think writing it out, speaking it, even if you're not speaking it to other people,
will bring so much more good things into your life, right? It's very important, that gratitude. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. And giving back. When someone's given to you, like try your best to give back to them and stop taking, just receive. Like, yeah. There are no, I'd rather not.
All right. So, Rebecca, what about you? What's your trigger?
Well, my gut is a big indicator of if I'm safe or not, even if I'm like walking. And I remember days I'd be driving to work and I couldn't understand why my stomach was like flip-flopping and flip-flopping, and it never failed. Those were the days where the most wild things that you couldn't even imagine what were going to happen would happen. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. I hear messages too about people. I used to always think I just had a very wild imagination and like I was making up stories about people as I was walking past them on the street. But no, I'm not making that up. That thing's being told to me about them. So I also get like that, and I can read people's energy.
Yes, 100%.
So I just know if I'm safe in their energy or not, and I just remove myself if I'm not safe.
Yeah, like you told me you did that. I have examples of that. Like you do that.
you have to. It's self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I ignore it, though, I manifest. Like I've had when I've been in like toxic relationships with men and I'm ignoring it's time to leave, Rebecca, get out. What are you still doing here? I've had like sores come out on my face. like
your
literally
body's speaking to you.
Yeah.
Right? Sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm sensitive too to elements. So I'm sensitive to chemicals. I'm a sensitive girl.
Yeah.
I often call myself the canary in the coal mine. It's like if there's something wrong with it, I'll find it. I'll let you know.
I feel that way with energies, right? When we have a massive energy shift, I usually feel it weeks before most people do. And I don't mean most gifted people. I mean most of those people who are, disconnected, right?
Correct.
Weeks in advance, right?
It's interesting because a lot of us are talking about feeling a sense of not being connected to the earth, like having a bit of a tipping point, like a tilting, feet not firmly touching the ground moment, a floating moment, floating dreams.
I always said
the ground beneath us is shifting. So
say that again, Denise.
The ground beneath us is shifting.
Feels that
massive plates beneath the ground.
Even the center of the earth is starting to swivel the wrong way. The center of the earth is swiveling the opposite direction.
Right. So oh yeah, I see it.
What, the Jupiter?
It disappeared.
What?
Did you guys see that?
We've got some lights in the sky tonight.
Did you see that?
Got a clear night, so we can see the stars. And
I think I got
I'm watching a different one.
And one's moving around up there right now. I can actually see Gemini right now.
Really?
The constellation of Gemini.
Some UFO action up here.
Really?
Yeah.
I know, but I gotta get chips.
I saw it.
I think it's gone rogue, Kim.
Well,
It's gone rogue.
It's time to feed.
It'll be an icebreaker for the alien.
It's dark from here. We can just see. So let me know if
Sorry,
any of
to
you
go
get
soon.
abducted. Okay. I'll just know.
Pardon me?
Let me know if any of you get abducted, and that way I'll not include that person
Yeah.
in the conversation anymore.
No, I feel pretty safe and secure, and
That's good.
I think it's been really great to connect with everyone. I hope to do this again.
It's good. Did you, Ginger? What about you? What about your trigger?
For my
What's your?
for my trigger,
Mm,
again, it's I call it the knowing. But I've had a lot of the same symptoms, where your whole body responds to it. You could be
yeah,
holding a lot of pain. I've learned now that it's all about the words that we use from my point of view. It's all about the language that we speak and the words that we use. And so when we become aware, more conscious of how other people's energies affect us, I find it's helpful to say things like, it's not mine. And we've talked about other strategies like keeping yourself in sort of a protective bubble, an imaginary bubble, and having all that energy reflect right back to
yeah,
where it came from. And remind yourself repeatedly that that's not about you. Whatever is coming from another person, it's only from their imaginarium that they're projecting their experience onto you.
they are. However, there is something that you need to learn from it. Otherwise, you would not be having that experience.
Correct. So, but likewise, like learning, but at the same time, not not letting it control me. Like, for example, somebody else's opinion of me,
Yeah,
that kind of energy can really stick to you and you can feel it and be tormented about it,
yeah,
especially if you're sensitive,
yeah,
even if it's not spoken. Like
yeah.
for people out there working with children, or if you're near children, if you're thinking this kid is really annoying, I can almost assure you the child knows what you're thinking. You don't have to use the words. It's being communicated loud and clear. And I think animals are example of that. They don't require a language like what we use. They have a knowing about
Yeah.
what kind of energy a person is emitting.
What if we were all evolving to be dogs
Somewhere
and
else.
cats and fish and lizards?
Yeah, because it's a little loud. Oh, sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
What if we
Right?
were all evolving to become dogs and cats and fish and lizards?
Well, I
What
think
if
they
that
seem
was
to
what
know
we were?
something that we don't.
What if
Yeah,
that's what we're
That's so
heading
true.
towards? Like, what if that's the next level?
that's kind of not a bad place
Really
to
great
be if
to
you're at my
ponder.
house.
I would love to have this conversation at some point in the future. That sounds really
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, to talk about it.
All right. So I'm gonna shift conversations for a second, and I'm gonna go move on to the full moon in Aquarius, um,
Yes.
which
And I'm
is
really sorry, Kim, I would love to stay. I would love to stay, but I have to go.
okay. All right,
Okay,
darling. It's
Angela.
been lovely to have you here, Charlotte. Really enjoyed
All
it.
right.
And
Me too. I'm so lit up by this.
that's good. That's good. We can do it again.
It's nice meeting you.
Yes, nice meet you.
Have a good
Nice to meet
night.
you.
Or
Okay,
good
let's do
All
morning.
it.
the best, Charlotte. Thanks for
Any
It was nice meeting
anything
participating.
you
you
want
It's
to
again.
really
say
great.
before you go? Is there anything you want to say
Pardon
before
me?
you go?
I think as you guys go and talk about the light side of Aquarius and the shadow side of Aquarius, probably the shadow sides of the Aquarius are, at least for you guys, that you're going to see in yourselves, possibly where that conversation goes.
Yeah.
Look at it as if as soon as you recognize it, that's probably a really high power version of yourself. And so you probably put it away because you were kind of scared to like hurt someone with it, or
Yeah.
cause yourself to be alienated by it because of the characteristics of Aquarians. And so that's been put away. So as you look at it, you're going to really probably discover a really high power version of yourself.
Wow. That's really cool. Thank you. Thank you for that
Yeah, I really
gift.
like that.
I like
Thanks.
that too.
Yeah.
Happy
Good stuff.
conversing.
And that's actually along the lines of that wellness rather than illness, like taking it into the positive. I like it.
That's
All
right.
right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Thanks,
was
you guys.
lovely. Thank
Take care.
you.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you,
So,
Kim.
all right.
Wow.
So,
So the shadow side of Aquarius, I think she kind of nailed it.
I
I
think she
think
did.
there's a little Aquarius in all of us.
And
And
this is what we're experiencing for like this next month or something. is this capacity that we're going to be seeing the superhero component of us, of ourselves, and our lack of willingness to acknowledge that, so being embarrassed by it or trying to hide it or trying to suppress it coming forth because we might be ashamed of it or we might not be sure of it or all right. So what have you any of you got to say on that part?
Yeah. Well, we saw a meteorite, got distracted. Be more specific, Kim. Like,
All right.
Well, we're getting all kinds of light activity here tonight.
yeah. So there
So
was
you've got
a little,
UFOs and a meteorite. Is a
Yeah,
meteorite the same as a
meteorite, and then
falling star?
I would say,
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a falling star or a meteorite. Did you make a wish?
I did, yes.
Okay.
and it was all around the sign of Gemini. I can see the constellation of Gemini looking at me right now. The two twins, Castor and Pollux.
I
Find it
love
quite interesting.
I love what you said about the gem in eye. So
And that
with
being the inner child.
yeah, the idea that and this kind of even aligns with what how bad my memory is. Um what Charlotte said before she left was as soon as you recognize it, you become a little bit more wanting to suppress it inside of yourself. So it's like you recognize that superpower in you,
Yes.
but you don't want to make it shine because you're frightened of shining it in case because of what other people think of you. Is that right?
Oh, I think that's
believe
absolutely
so,
right.
yeah,
And I think that's
absolutely.
true for all of us. We're afraid of what other people will think.
Yeah.
That's why I keep speaking about being authentic and honoring that little voice that guides you if you have a voice or if you have a feeling or however that information comes to you. Being able to be authentic, I think, is of the highest value. And but yet there's a great amount of discomfort with that shift because we've all been masked as far as I can see it.
So I'm thinking of Disney's Hercules right now, as you're saying that. So in Disney's Hercules, Hercules when he was younger, he hated his abilities. He thought it was a curse,
Yes.
right? And everybody, he irritated everybody. He felt like a loser. He had his self-esteem was in the toilet. Why? Because he was misunderstanding his abilities. And until you understand your abilities and start using them and wielding them, then it becomes obvious that this is a gift, not only for yourself, but for everybody else around you too, right? But
Love it.
that's what I'm seeing, his awakening and our awakening, everybody's awakening into their own abilities, to their connection, to everything.
A
to
brilliant,
beyond.
brilliant
Brilliant.
moment,
Love it.
brilliant
Love it.
opportunity. I love that story. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
So
amazing because it's all about awakening, right?
Mhm.
Awakening to your own power and taking it and using it for good,
The
right?
Phoenix moment.
Instead
love
of
it.
being, before he realized his powers, his life was miserable. He was sad and frustrated and angry. We were all like that
That's true.
Yeah.
before we found the light, right? Before we found our purpose and our abilities, right? Started
True.
leaning on those more and more in the light. And so anyway, so many of our movies like that are telling us stories about
The happily ever after.
yes,
How do you
right?
find how do you
Right?
find your
I
happily
love
ever
that
after?
movie.
Your
Which
imagination.
movie?
The never ending
Happily
story.
Ever
The
After.
Okay, the never ending story, which that's another segue I wanted to move into too. If you were talking about the never ending story. And then Ginger and I are having a conversation during the week about Neverland and and um Peter Pan. And Peter
Oh, yeah.
Pan is a kid that never grows up and he can also fly. And we were looking at the word never land. So flying and never land. So the implication with that is that the soul's so light or it's so childish, it's so full of innocence that it goes to this magical place of Neverland. It never has to land, it never has to take any of it on. It can just play in the universe of where it's at because it doesn't need to take on any of that other stuff. It's merely the observer. Okay, so
well, and Peter Pan flies around like so many of us can do in our dreams, and it's about being that childlike energy that just never lands.
And then you were saying something how I don't know, you were talking about how that segued into the witch and the Wizard of Oz. I couldn't. How did that relate to the witch and the Wizard of Oz?
The Neverland.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm Glenda the Good Witch. That's how I refer to myself.
I'm the Tin Man. I'll be the Tin Man. I don't mind.
You
I
don't
think
mind
that's
being.
how we got over the
You
Wizard
haven't got
of
a
Oz.
heart. Who's the Tin Man?
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
talking there?
Oh, that's Amanda.
Amanda, you're the
He
Tin.
doesn't
You
have a
haven't got a
brain.
heart.
Oh, right. I keep putting myself down. I just do it.
The lion that doesn't have the
Why?
heart.
Oh, is
Yeah.
it? What's the Tin Man not got?
He doesn't have a brain.
No, the
It's Kyle.
Scarecrow
He's
hasn't
got a
got the brain.
brain.
Oh, shoot.
It's the
You
Scarecrow
think
that hasn't got the brain. The Tin Man hasn't got a. What has he
brain.
got? No, isn't it the Scarecrow? It's the Scarecrow that
Oh,
hasn't got it. He's
yeah.
going to go that way,
Tin Man
that
was
way.
just in the Tin, I thought.
Heart,
I
brain,
don't know. No, the
and
Tin Man was trying to be more flexible. He needed a heart. He
couldn't
wanted
reach
a
a
heart. The
coat.
lion wanted courage.
that's
Oh, I
right.
thought
That's right. He wanted a
The
heart.
lion was looking for courage. The Tin Man wanted a heart,
Yeah.
and the Scarecrow wanted a brain.
So Amanda,
yeah.
why do you think you haven't got a heart?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm just playing around with Becky. I love her. I just love Becky. I was just playing with her
Oh yeah. I
because she's
know.
like one of my soul sisters.
Right. Okay. So,
Yeah.
but what made you think that? What made you say that? Was it just um like you like to be fun loving and happy, but you try not to take.
Yeah. I like to put myself down to make people laugh sometimes. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay. I'm finding that lately in today's world it doesn't at all. Like
No.
when I do that, everybody pulls me up on it. And it's
Yeah, I guess I maybe made a mistake there because it's not that funny to put yourself down.
no, it's like showing your weakness.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, but
somebody
I
can
immediately do that sometimes. Just I've got a dark past.
right, yeah. I mean I'm
I
not
got dark cards to go along with it though.
there's no criticism there. It's just merely like kind of like I mean, we're just learning here. We're just learning to navigate our way through and not put our
Yeah.
focus into the things that do ourselves harm. And then
Yeah.
the best way we can do that is by all pulling each
I
other
guess
up.
I do practice self-harm sometimes when I'm like it's not really cutting myself, but like I did shave my arms because I was mad at a nurse once recently. Oh, it's being
Shaved your
recorded.
arms.
Yeah, out of defiance.
And have your arms been particularly hairy since?
Yeah, it's been really prickly.
Oh, you've only just done it.
Yeah, I just was mad. I forgot this was being recorded.
That's
Sorry.
okay. Doesn't matter. We haven't seen your
I'm
face. We've
just
just
being
seen your
honest.
knee. We've just seen your knee. So at least it wasn't your leg that you shaved.
Well, I shaved my legs. I shaved my whole body except my eyebrows.
Okay.
That's
You
an
didn't shave your head, did
interesting
you?
conversation to walk in on.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
You-
I know. When I lead the conversation, I am a leader, just not when it's late. I get my mind goes to different
Yeah,
places when it's late at night.
yeah, yeah. Is it late at night there?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you guys still okay, or do you want to carry on, or do you want to terminate this, or
Uh,
what?
how do you feel, friends?
I'm
I
good,
feel
whatever.
okay.
I'm just going
Yeah,
with the
We're good.
flow.
We'll leave it to you, Kim.
It's a gorgeous night. We got lots of stuff happening up here, so why not? Let's keep it going.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Right?
gonna go to the bathroom, so I'm gonna mute it for a second, and you guys talk
Okay,
among
did you want to
yourselves.
stop recording?
Yeah, let's
No,
maybe
no.
take a break for a minute.
We can stop recording, maybe do part 2 or something
Okay.
like that.
All right.
Or
Stop
we'll just
recording.
come back without the recording and wish
I can
everyone
pause
well.
it. I can pause it.
Oh, okay. That works too then.
Okay. I'll pause the recording. So you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
All right, let's do this.
We
Later.
paused before, so we could have a little break,
Recording.
and we just come back really to say goodbye because these guys want to have a party.
Well, we got a little playful on our break.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
We
I
can't
just
be
want
responsible for what might come out.
exactly. So just say thank you for listening and let us know what you think below. And it's just a bit of a different thing that we did. And thanks
Hope
for
you
listening.
like it.
Yeah.
It was nice to gather everybody like that.
Thank
And
you.
hope to do it again. Yeah.
Love that.
Thanks, guys.
How's the weather
Bye.
down?
From Canada.
How's the weather down there anyway?
Hold on. I'm going to stop.